This video is brought to you by Law Excellence IAS Academy.
Dear students, good morning. Let us start the discussion on today's newspaper, that is 16th April 2019. The first article, An India Without the Left. It means we have to understand the significance of left in Indian politics. So from the days of M. N. Roy, so the left identified itself with marginalized sections of our Indian society. What is democracy's objective is the democracy shall put forward various narratives of development before the people, and people shall be given a choice to choose what narrative they want to have. It means alternatives when they are available to the citizens, the democracy gets enriched. So unlike the other countries, the communists in India, they participate vibrantly in democracy. So in this democratic setup, the culture of collective action, culture of public action, it means people coming together and framing an agenda for themselves and solving it. That spirit is been brought in by the leftist political parties. Recently, floods occurred in Kerala. So most of the rescue effort is taken up by the people themselves. Today we depend more and more on the state elsewhere. But in Kerala, the people are dependent, they should shoulder to shoulder with each other. This is a simple example of culture of public action. So the left has cultivated this culture of public action in India. And the second, so today the middle class is bulging in India. So every political party, it wants to showcase or shoulder themselves with the middle class. But however, middle class interests are not actually being taken care by those parties. They are actually taking care of capitalistic interests. So the middle class interests are getting identified with the capitalistic interests, and political class is ending up supporting the oligarchs like big industrialists. So in this context, at the bottom of the pyramid, a section of the population is left aside. So these are farmers, trade unions, workers, etc. So peasant movements, trade union movements, these are all mobilized by the political parties which are on the left side. It means recently the peasant movement in Maharashtra, long march of farmers, that entire thing is peacefully facilitated by the leftist political parties, All India Kisan Sabha, etc. So, left is representing a section of the population which is by and large left aside or unrepresented in a globalized capitalistic world. And finally, in religious, or else India is a deeply religious society. Development of scientific temper and also modern thinking is essential for the progress of this country. When the rightists are trying to take the religion much deeper into the affairs of the state, left is a beacon of hope providing for the scientific temper. So these are the three important points which are being provided to us. One is left has provided for culture of action, representation of the interests of weak and marginalized, and also promoting the scientific temper and humanistic thinking across Indian society. So in this case, he has given various examples in Kerala. So first time Kerala Metro has recruited the transgenders as ticket collectors, and added to that, the Kerala has introduced educational healthcare reforms, and it was able to achieve development much faster. So these are the points they try to say. Next article is Weathervane of Democracy. So this is about model code of conduct. So this is not model code of conduct, it is also moral code of conduct. Why? It is not legally binding on the people, it is morally binding on the people. That is one thing. Whenever election dates are announced by the election commission, MCC comes into operation. So the history of the model code of conduct, if you observe, it was voluntarily observed for the first time in the Kerala elections by the political parties then. And later in the next Lok Sabha elections, it was made compulsory for all political parties. The objective of MCC first and foremost is to ensure that the parties in power do not misuse their official position and disturb the fairness on the ground. So here we need to ensure the free and fair election and level playing field for each and every one. So today, the weakening of model code of conduct is actually weakening the election commission, and once the election commission is weakened, its election processes are getting suspected, especially EVMs. So the grand narrative that is growing against the EVMs is majorly due to the weakening of election commission. So second point here we need to remember is, before 1990s, political parties wanted to have free and fair elections. So though there was booth capturing, violence, etc., after 1990s, there is a blatant misuse of the official position by the political parties. And also today, information asymmetry creation through the social media and also use of money power taken to or have become a norm. So the model code of conduct is not addressing these issues of in misuse of the social media. So on the other side, money power the election commission is unable to control. This is where it has to focus on. So the legitimacy and credibility of the election commission, which was painstakingly been brought in, shall not be done away with. So the neutrality of the commission is very much important. So the most respected institution in this country is the election commission, that is the constitutional body. So it has to upkeep its respect by implementing the model code of conduct. The next article, respecting leaders in democracy. So here the author talks about the meaning of respect. So the first version is Immanuel Kant's version, that is directive respect. So this directive respect is more egalitarian. It means every person shall be respected for being a human. For being a human, he has dignity of his own self. It means the respect in this denotion has an authoritative moral instruction. You have to respect because the other person is human, and every human is associated with the dignity of oneself. So today we interact with different people. Let's take, if I go to a bank, I do a transaction. So that person who is doing transaction for me is an instrument. So I don't see just for instrumental ends. I also see him as a human, and I respect him not just for his importance to me, but also for he being a human. So let's take, if my driver is there. So if I talk to him with respect and dignity, so that is what is directive respect. So normally we teach values to the children. So whenever we say, so call him as uncle or treat him with respect. So these all the words which we are saying, these are in the light of the directive respect. And the next is hierarchical respect. Here authority relations exist between the person who is being respected and who is respecting him. Let's take, if a driver has to call his boss as sir, and the driver is being called with one or the other word. And the second thing, if a father is called with dignity and father is not addressing the same dignity to the children, so there is an hierarchical or power relationships in this kind of respect. And the third kind of respect is achievement oriented. Let's take, a scientist did something great to the community. So you respect him automatically. Abdul Kalam is respected automatically. It is because of our own evaluation of his achievement. So in this context, our political leaders are also expected to achieve something for the people. So good governance, corruption-free administration, welfare, like that we have many expectations on our political leaders, and he standing up to this will automatically earn the respect from the citizens. This kind of respect is called evaluatory respect. A mammoth election, not so important this is, it is for Indonesian election related news. Across the world, the religion and emotion associated with religion is becoming an important election agenda. The growth of right wing is happening not just in Europe and Americas, it is also happening in Asia. So in Indonesian election too, so more than the economic achievement of the existing leader, what is being looked into is the Islamic credential of that. So now Mr. Joko Widodo is the existing president. He has a successful economic achievement for the people. But what the people are swaying, are more and more the politics are getting swayed through the religious agenda. So that is what is worrisome. Slowing down fast. So there is a downturn in industrial activity. How we measure the industrial activity? One is through index of industrial production. Please do research. What are the components of this? I don't want to teach these basics for you. The reason is, if you get into those and search for it, then that will you can remember that for long. Or purchase managers index. So I try to understand what is the difference between these two evaluatory criteria. So in index of industrial production and purchase managers index both show that industrial growth is slowing down. Among this, the worst is the manufacturing sector. Among the manufacturing sector, it is the capital goods. So in this case, growth, if it has to be revived, we have to create an economy or an environment where investment is flowing, capital is flowing. But if the capital has to flow, banking sector has to be sound. So weaknesses of the banking sector is not making the credit to grow. NPAs of the banking sector are not making the credit growth. It is ultimately affecting what? Investments. The investments are worst affecting the economic growth. And then we have something called structural issues. So these structural issues are going to address, are need to be addressed. Monetary policy easing can be a solution, but it can or it will come with inflation. Now the inflation is also worsening in this country. Retail inflation measured through consumer price index. So for your prelims, IIP versus PMI, and the second is how inflation is measured. What are the differences between these indices is something you need to look into. The road to Kashmir. So this article talks about the closure of road NH44 from Udhampur to Jammu and Baramulla in Kashmir. So after Pulwama attack, the closure of this road has led or is leading to many civilian difficulties. The essential services like emergency care and movement of various goods is all became very much troublesome. So in this context, freedom of movement, if it is restricted, automatically this appears, the land appears to be moving under authoritarian rule. So this particular masochistic approach or muscular approach will distance the people from the state. So India, if it has to win the loyalties of the people, then it has to provide for more civic benefits to them. And the second, branding the protesters and also rifle holding militants both as terrorists, it will further increase the dislike of the people towards the India as a state. So that we need to keep in mind. So here Vajpayee's words are very much important to us. Insaniyat, Kashmiriyat, Jamhuriyat, democracy, humanism, and then Kashmiri identity. These three together will solve the problem of the Kashmiris or problem of India and Kashmir together. But as we are moving away from insaniyat by causing more difficulties to the people, is expected to worsen the problem rather than solving it. Supreme Court irked after poll panel's counsel says it is powerless. Yes, it is true in India. The Election Commission of India can only register a political party, it cannot deregister them. And the second thing, any contestant, if he violates the model code of conduct, the disqualification is not an option before the Election Commission. So, anything, if Election Commission has to be powerful, the power to disqualify and power to contempt and also power to punish has to be in its hands. So today, Election Commission is in the midst of controversy. Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister Nara Chandrababu Naidu is levying various arguments, accusations against Election Commission. So, Election Commission's failure to act against the powerful leaders and also against use of religious vocabulary, etc., is a cause of concern now. China is using artificial intelligence to profile Uighur Muslims. If you remember Gandhiji's seven sins, one among them is science without humanity. So if you are not looking the human aspect, obviously it will lead to greater destruction through science, either atomic bomb and anything for that matter. So today the same thing is coming before us with artificial intelligence. The state is becoming too powerful. Today China is using the face recognition technologies to profile various Uighur Muslims. So this Xinjiang province, there is a movement for self-determination or cessationist movement which is active. Now China's state is all too powerful and now it has the weapon of artificial intelligence. So a new word here used that is called automated racism. So tomorrow if into an authoritarian ruler, if this technology gets into, they can easily eliminate a section of people, and racial discrimination and racial profiling becomes very easy with the use of this technology. So that's why the I mean use of the technology with care is essential by the state. And Sudan protesters call for civilian government. You know that Omar al Bashir is removed as the president of Sudan. Now a military council is ruling the country. So this military council consists nothing but the elite who are promoted by the Omar al Bashir. So today the protesters, what they are asking is the entire elitist thing has to move off. The constitution brought in by Omar al Bashir has to be done away with. In that place, they need to have a civilian government, a constitutional government based on democracy. That is what is being asked in Sudan now. Finally, all the best. Have a good day.